Now the way I'm going to set this up in how to use the cart is I'm going to use the local storage to remember what the user does. This has its pros and cons when you do this, so I'm just going to show you. Oops, I already clicked it. I'm going to click cart. We have one product now, and I'm going to go to my inspect and my application so we can see the local storage and the file we have here. So this is again the completed version. So we have a cart, and I already added one product here. So if I remove this, the array becomes empty, and if I go back add, you can see this populates with all the new ones here. So it's quite a simple, straightforward way we can set this up by using the cart. So we will start with this, and we can optimize it later if needed. So inside the use cart here, I'm going to create a const called cart, and this is the one we see out here, which right now. And I'm going to set this equal to ref, and I'm going to do exactly this, almost exactly this. So we're using the generic from TypeScript to make sure that it will be reactive, because in Vue, if we don't set it here and we set it here as mentioned earlier, this will not become reactive, it will become static. So that's the first part. But I actually want to use TypeScript default settings here. So go to where you have your, I'm zooming in, where you have this open parentheses and bracket here. And I'm going to do the first part of this as a JSON. And I'm going to parse this. And parentheses open, close. And in here, I'm going to parse the local storage, local storage with a capital S, and get item. And the item I want to get is the cart. Okay, that was maybe a bit too much zoomed in. So like this. So this is the part I added right now for the first section. Now, if we have data, we make sure that it gets parsed as JSON instead. And we are then going to use the, what I call, pipes. There we go. So, oops, not here, but, oops, we have this one, just quick, I'm just going to do it back to this. So we have this again. I actually need to move this parentheses here to the end. So it's two parentheses at the end instead. And then inside, or just before the array, space, and then pipes, space, and then we make the array into a empty string like this. So we're going to do it like this. So if we have data, make sure you do this. If it's no data, we just default to this one over here. Now we need to return the cart, so we have access this throughout the system. So just go to that one and return. Now here we want to create a constant called addToCart. Oops. And just set up the structure for the functionality here. And this is the one we'll click, so the button will click on the page, right? addToCart. All right, there's an S right now. So we need to pass something through in this one. In this case, we want to pass through the product. And we want to omit something. So we used this earlier, so I don't have to talk about it again. And we want to use the cart item. And the thing we want to omit is the quantity. Quantity, if I can spell it correctly like this. And remember to end it as well. So this is what we'll pass through. And in here, we're going to store our different, or our existing item that we have, if we have any, inside the cart value, and we'll do a find. So if, and then we'll do item, item.id underscore id equal, oops, that's not equal signs, product, what can't I spell today, underscore id. So basically what we'll be doing, oops, existing item, there we go. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to grab the product, and we'll, if it exists, we will grab it by the ID, so we have the correct information about the ID, so it's not just a random product. And then we will check to see with an if statement. So if existing item is here, then we will add to the quantity. So if there's an item in this one, we will just add either add a quantity or remove a quantity. So that is why we also omitted it up from the when we got it in here up here. So we'll do existing item dot quantity, since we're working with an object, and we will just do plus equal 1. So if we click it and there's an item, we click one, then we'll add just a quantity and we won't add the name and the price and the description and blah blah blah, all those things, but only the quantity. The other part is of course the negative version of it. So if there's an existing item, again add one, and the other part is if the item doesn't exist, we need to take the item and push it into the cart. So we'll do a cart.value, value, and we'll do a push. Since we're working with arrays, we can do that. And the thing we want to pass through is the product and the quantity. So instead of me typing out everything that exists in the product, I'm just going to use the spread operator here. And that's the first part, and the other part is the quantity, and I will just add 1. So that will make sense, right? The first time you put something in, it's quantity of 1 unless you have an input field for it. But as a default for this one here, we'll just use 1. And then we can set up console logs to make sure everything works if we need those, parentheses. And we'll just do added new item to cart, and we can also print out the value, and we can do the same up here to make sure that we updated existing item quantity, and then we can check for the existing item like so. Good. Oh, wrong button. Finally, I'll just do this. Finally, we'll just make sure we end the else tag, and in here we will and open it, of course. That would also be really helpful. And inside the before we close this, again starts here, ends here, and inside the add to cart function, we're just going to use the local storage, and we'll set item. So we'll pass through the cart. Give it the name of cart, and what we'll pass through is a JSON stringified stringify, that's right, version of the cart dot value, like so. And for good measures, just do a console log so we can see added to cart, and we will pass through the cart dot value. So we now have the structure for the add to cart, and we'll just make sure that we of course export it down here, add to cart, so it's not giving us those. So that's the next setup of this. So we'll try to do this, test this soon.